Hey guys, Shurim here, and today I'm going to be testing the McLaren Mercedes MP4-25 in multiplayer in Asphalt 8 with a tuning of 10-0-10-10. I got this car many years ago when it first came out, and since the new multiplayer doesn't have as much difference in speed between the cars at the various ranks, acceleration plays a lot bigger part in determining which cars are better. So I figured the second fastest accelerating car in the game, only second to the MP4-8, should be a really good car for multiplayer. And it really was. I didn't see a single other one because most of the people I think play multiplayer nowadays are newer players because of a lot of the older ones, including myself, quit. I just happened to have come back to some extent. And I was able to go from Challenger League, I think I was around 1450 rating, to Champion League 2000 rating in about 2.5 hours, I think it took, using only this car. I did not use a single other car in my journey there. I wanted to see if I could do it with this car, and I had some really good races during that time, and those are the ones I'm going to be showcasing in this video. In this first one in the race here, we were on the Alps, and I'm up against an SSC Tuatara, as well as another one, and the SSC Tuatara, I believe, was the most common car that I faced. Along with the Bugatti, both of these cars are around the very low 1700 ranks, just like the one I'm driving, so it makes sense I would see a lot of them, but the SSC Tuatara, I believe, is Ultimate, so that's why a lot of people are using it, because it just automatically has a high rank and people don't have to do anything with it if they already have it. And then the Bugatti just is a lot better than it used to be. So yeah, those two cars, very, very heavily used nowadays, but I was able to beat probably around 90% of them in this MP4-25, because usually they just weren't able to catch up after I got ahead at the beginning. And that is the most annoying place on this track for me. I've done that multiple times. If you go just too far to the left there, you will wreck. It won't even put you out of the track. There's no invisible barrier. You just wreck there, so you have to be really careful when you're on this variant of this track and you come up to that part. So although I knew my car wasn't really any faster than the other ones in the race, I was going to do my best, see if I could catch up through either taking shortcuts or other people messing up or just whatever I could do, basically. By the way, if you watched my last video, you will know that I've gotten a new recording setup allowing me to record in higher quality, 1440p. This video and probably the next couple of ones that I upload will not be in 1440p because they were recorded on my previous device, so there will be a little bit of a transition phase for a week or so. Now, I am planning to finally release my video about the third drive syndicate, the Bugatti La Voiture Noire, tomorrow, and it's going to be pretty interesting. I finally calculated pretty much the minimum amount of money you have to spend on the Drive Syndicate to unlock the Bugatti, as well as the GT by Citroën, and here I made very careful to not fall off the edge and wreck again like I did last time. Now, you'll notice that I was able to come back throughout this race even though I did wreck. Now, the reason for that is because this Tuatara was actually an unboosted one. An unboosted Ultimate Tuatara goes around 282.5 miles per hour, so 5-6 miles per hour slower than me. But I wasn't able to pull away from him toward the end of the race, and we kept having this little dogfight, basically, because I kept running out of nitro, and he would keep stealing it, and then I'd have to wiggle drift, then go down in speed, then go up in speed again. It was crazy. This was probably the closest race that I had after coming back to Asphalt 8. It was a lot of fun, and I'm actually really enjoying the new track. I'm beginning to learn it a bit better, even though I got that specific variant so much during the time. I'm learning the other ones as well. I think I like the ones better that are more on the ground, because while the ones in the sky I think look better, they require a little bit more of a learning curve because of more technical parts to them, and I just haven't had enough practice on them yet, so I would love to get them more in multiplayer. That's what I'm going to try to do. I'm trying to play a good bit of multiplayer coming back. I recorded some races in the Devo, which I will probably make a video of. I got that thing upgraded to a decent level. I would have liked to upgrade it higher than I did. I got it to, I think, 1749 rank, I think. Unfortunately, at that rank, it goes slower than this car does at this rank. So yeah, it's not as competitive as this car for sure, but I did it in Champion League, and I was able to gain some rating overall in it. Still a decent car, not the greatest. I feel like the MP4-25 would still get me to a higher league for sure, and I'm curious as to what other cars are actually really good up near this level. Like, I'm pretty sure the MP4-25 is overall better than the SSC Tuatara, just given my races here. I mean, this one directly behind me is a Tuatara, And just because I was able to get ahead in the beginning, and if I'm able to not make any dumb mistakes, I'm generally able to beat them most of the time. And if I were in a Tuatara and I came across an MP4-25, chances are I wouldn't be able to. So I think I'm going to stick with this car, but let me know if there's any other cars that I might have. Again, I don't really have any of the really new ones that have been released in the past 1.5 to 2 years or so, but that might help me even more in multiplayer. Now, in this race, we're facing, again, a couple of Tuataras, as always, but we're also facing a Bugatti Veyron, one of the newest, best cars, I guess, for multiplayer. I don't exactly know what happened with it, but it became OP all of a sudden, and now people are using it all over the place. And I actually never upgraded a lot because it used to be pretty bad, and there I just randomly went up into the air. You think Asphalt 9 physics are bad? Asphalt 8 physics can be pretty much just as bad. Here I have, again, a little bit of a dogfight with this Bugatti, but able to maintain slightly ahead. That's the good thing about the MP4-25. While it used to be slower than pretty much the other cars around this rank, and you'd get passed even though you got ahead at the beginning, nowadays that doesn't really happen a lot of the time. I haven't really gotten passed in this car much of the time. Everybody just seems to continue to be like a second behind or so throughout the race, or however much I'm able to get ahead at the beginning. It depends. Sometimes I've ran into a problem where I accelerate too fast and I hit the person in front of me, like what happens right there, because nothing else starts up as fast, which sort of evaporates the main key advantage of this car. And so you'll see throughout this race, we actually don't have any Tuataras or Bugattis in this one, at least not boosted. That wasn't our main competition anyway. I think we have a couple of Bugattis. I think those were the 3rd and 4th place positions. But the one directly behind us is a 650S GT3. I think that's the old skitty McLaren. That's the one that I bumped at the beginning. And he was doing decently. That's one car that I never thought I'd see in multiplayer again. It was extremely bad for multiplayer when it first came out because of the skids and just being terribly slow at the rank. But nowadays, it seems like it's pretty similar to everything else around this rank. And it was able to stay up to me a lot of the time because my acceleration, again, just didn't get up to speed at the beginning because I hit him. Not his fault, but it did help him. And it was honestly kind of refreshing to not have a Tuatara or Bugatti breathing down my butt like was in the 80% of races that I played in this car. But we beat the old Skidlaren, and speaking of skids, the MP4-25 still suffers from them. I don't know if there's been many in this video, but there were multiple times when it actually did cost me. There was one time in Alps toward the beginning where I was going along and my car just completely skid and rammed me into the wall. Unfortunately, that is one of the weaknesses of this car, and if you have it and decide to use it in the new multiplayer, it's something you're going to have to be aware of that can happen pretty much any time. You just have to be able to correct it. If you notice when it will happen, oftentimes you can stop it before it leads to any major issues. Like if you start skidding one way, just drift the other way really fast and you're not going to have too much of a problem. I was able to do that sometimes, but other times I just wasn't able to react quickly enough and it caused me some issues and oftentimes caused me to lose the race. So if you want a car that's completely stable and you won't have to worry about skidding, this probably isn't the one for you, but its advantage of being able to get ahead of everybody at the beginning outweighed that for me, and so that's why I continue to use this one. And this Tuatara got slightly ahead of me. I think he took a little bit of a better route, and then I hit something on the side which caused me to slow down even more, and so he was able to come in first place. Now at this point I was getting really close to Champion League. Before this race I was at 1980. In this race I went up 5 to take me to 1985, and so I knew if I was able to win this race here, I would pretty much be guaranteed Champion League. We're facing a couple of Tuataras in this race, and one car that I had seen in a few previous races that turned out to be surprisingly good was actually the R8 e-tron Special Edition. It goes fast, it accelerates quickly, it's going to be a better car at max for multiplayer than it used to be. And I think people who have the R8 e-tron Special Edition will be better suited upgrading it more now, at least the acceleration somewhat, because, well, since the upgrade rank percentage has changed, your old low rank OP car likely won't be anymore. So now it's time for my general review about this car. First one of these I've done with driving my own car in Asphalt for like 2 years at this point. Kind of crazy to think about, but it's a great car for the new multiplayer. The acceleration is awesome. The speed is average for its rank, I would say. The nitro is good enough, although extra tanks definitely did help me in my testing. And the only real disadvantage I can think of is the skidding, which doesn't even happen all the time, and we take our final victory to get to Champion League. Thank you all so much much for watching. Please like the video if you have enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt and other games content. And I will see you in my next video, which will most likely be about the Bugatti Drive Syndicate. Goodbye!